So this weekend, I went away to basically talk some VR with Team Beef and the guys from Flat to VR. And one of the conversations was about Steam Frame. I don't know if you guys know, but about 4 months ago, I went hands-on with the headset. And I wanted to share some thoughts about if I'm still hyped for it, whether you guys are still hyped for it. And since then, there's been talks about the increase in price for RAM for Steam Machine and how this might affect Steam Frame. But if you don't know who Team Beef are, by the way, they've made some fantastic ports over the years of Doom 3, Half-Life, Duke Nukem, Tomb Raider, the list goes on. And most recently, with Flat to VR, they released Wrath, Pain of Ruin. And as I said, we were talking about Steam Frame because they kind of forgot I went hands-on with it. And they were asking if I'm still excited for the headset. And even though on my last video, there is 1,000 comments, so it's really hard to go through all of them. But I wanted to just basically share why I'm so excited for it still and why I've put the money away. And I put £1,000 away because I'm thinking, because obviously price is something we all talked about, whether it's going to be £800, £600. I'll put 1,000 away just in case, because one of the things that Valve have said is that it will be roughly the same price as Valve Index with the full setup. So I think £1,000 is about right. But ever since I've used that headset, it's kind of ruined every other headset for me. And the number one thing is comfort. The Steam Frame is insanely balanced. But one thing I might not have said in the video is that I actually held a Quest 3 and the Steam Frame upright, and the Steam Frame instantly just stayed balanced, and the Quest 3 fell forward because it's so front heavy. You don't know what you're missing until you've tried it. And ever since I tried the Steam Frame, all I keep thinking about is comfort. It's the sort of headset that I feel you could spend a good 6 to 8 hours in and not really know about it. And the other thing I'm really excited about it for is using wireless PC VR, because one of my favorite apps to use with Quest is Steam Link. It doesn't give the best visuals a lot of the time unless you're really close to the router, which I'm not. But performance-wise, it's always been really good on my PC. If there's a game that for some reason doesn't want to record very well with OBS, like Flat Out 4, that was actually the situation that I faced. Steam Link always comes in and gives me the best performance. So I'm really excited to actually get a native Steam experience with Steam Frame, to just have the whole Steam library in front of you and then being able to play flat screen games, because that was another thing I think that I didn't expect, was how much I enjoy playing flat screen games on the headset. And obviously there's rumors that some flat screen games might be able to be played in 3D. So that's my two biggest things. The three biggest things actually is the weight and the comfort, which I think is probably something that does really need to be put up there as like a really important thing for VR. At the moment, Pimax have sent me the Crystal Light. I don't know why it's called the Crystal Light. It's not really light at all. But the reason I don't really like using Pimax headsets, and that isn't talking about the Dream Air, I haven't got that one yet, but it's because I want to be in VR and not know I'm wearing a VR headset. And the Steam Frame is the only headset where I kind of forgot that I was using it. And that's the reason that I'm most excited for it, because that in itself adds to immersion. If you can forget that you're wearing a VR headset while playing a VR game, I think that's huge. I think that's a really huge thing. Secondly, to have fantastic PC VR wireless performance. And obviously we've got the eye tracking, which as far as we know, might not be used for software, but it definitely is used for encoding the visuals of what you're going to be seeing in PC VR. I did play Half-Life Alyx this way, and I thought it was visually a fantastic experience. That's not to say, though, I think when people get Steam Frame and they have a Quest 3, they're not going to be necessarily blown away by the clarity of the image. It's very on par with Quest 3. But I actually think Quest 3 does some fantastic visuals when you start like increasing resolution of games. And as I said, with wireless, I thought Half-Life Alyx looked absolutely brilliant. In fact, it looked better than what I've seen on Quest 3. So there's another reason I'm very excited for the headset. The controllers themselves, even though I've used them, I still don't feel too sure on them. I didn't really have enough time with them because we've got this like dual button layout on the top. These are just 3D printed models. And as you can see, you've got the 4-button layout here. I actually loved using the joystick and the 4 buttons on the side for like my flat screen games. But then you got the bumpers and the triggers. I think they might take some time to get used to, but actually holding these, it does feel pretty good. And I think that's why this headset is probably one of the most important headsets to come to VR in recent times. Because another thing, I think Steam always has some of the best prices for games. Just across the board, you know, if you buy games on PlayStation and stuff, they always tend to be a little bit cheaper on the Steam store. And then the next conversation we got into was about software. In the history of all hardware being released, there's always been software to go with it. Launch day lineups, stuff like that. And even Valve did this. It was a little bit later, but they still launched the Valve Index with Half-Life Alyx. So if you bought a Valve Index, I can't remember the time frame, but a little while later, Half-Life Alyx came out and you basically got it bundled with the Valve Index. And I just can't see that with Valve doing this triple launch of hardware, the Steam controller, the Steam machine, and the Steam frame, that there won't be some sort of software to use on these devices. And I made a little tweet basically saying, wouldn't it be cool, or just imagine, that there is a game that's released that is made to be played on Steam machine, but also might have a hybrid VR mode Steam frame. I don't know anything. People think I might know something. I don't know anything. And I don't want to lean into the Half-Life 3 rumors. And obviously we're all hopeful for something like that. But in my head, I kind of think to myself, surely some sort of software will happen. I just can't see all this new hardware coming out and there's no new software to go with it. I don't want to believe it. Basically, I don't want to believe that all this stuff will launch and there won't be any new games or a new game to use with it. Another thing that we talked about was also expanding the memory. There is an SD card slot on the Steam frame, and I do believe eventually we'll probably be able to move our APKs from Quest 3 and play them on Steam frame natively. I'm not saying I know anything, but I do think in time that will definitely be something that will happen. So everyone worried about their Quest 3 games, their library, potentially that might not be an issue. And then if you do have a PCVR version on Steam of a game, I think developers will be trying to make use or trying to make a native version of that VR game to be installed on Steam frame. So overall, yeah, I just wanted to put it out there that even after all these months of making that last video, I'm still very excited for this headset. I think it's going to be pretty huge for VR. That's if they can actually match supply and demand, because obviously we've seen the Steam controller sold out everywhere. And I think luckily that the Steam controller launched and there was lots of scalpers, that Valve have now addressed this. And as far as I can tell, only accounts that made a purchase on Steam before April the 27th, 2026 will be eligible to join the reservation queue. And they've also said that anyone who bought a controller of the first wave cannot buy another one for the second wave. Now, how does this work for Steam frame? I'm not sure. I'm just hoping that kind of shock to them about the Steam controller and the scalping situation, which saw some of these controllers sell for $300 on eBay, which is insane. I'm hoping that when it comes to Steam frame, that this won't be an issue and everyone will get a unit if they want one. So there it is. That's my video. I just wanted to let you know that after all this time, I'm still very excited for this headset, and I hope other people are excited for it, especially PCVR users. So I wanted to know if any of you who use Quest 3 are picking up a Steam frame but using it as a native headset. Like, are you going to use this as a standalone VR headset? And secondly, what sort of prices are you guys saying no to? Like, if it climbs above like the $900 mark or $1,000 mark, personally, if I had to put money on the price, I'm actually going to go all in on like a $799 as the maximum. I can't see it going above that, but I'd love to know your thoughts on all of this down in the comments, and I hope you're doing really well. Thank you all for tuning in as always. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you on the next one.